The $50,000 bunker system your neighbor just buried in his backyard is a corrugated steel drainage pipe with a door welded on. The same pipe sits on the rack at Tractor Supply for $1,200. Atlas Survival Shelters, Rising S. Every major bunker company in America built their business on a single bet that you would never walk down the agricultural aisle at your local farm store and recognize their product. That bet made them millions. Today, it stops working. The corrugated steel arch they call a proprietary shelter system is corrugated metal pipe, a commodity product engineered in the 1890s for burying under roads and railroad beds. Same gauge steel. Same corrugation pattern, same load-bearing capacity. The only difference is the price tag and the logo on the sales brochure. Commercial bunker companies charge $40,000 to $100,000 for a product that costs them $1,500 wholesale, then add LED lights and bunk beds to justify the markup. This video will show you what they are actually selling, why the physics works, and how to build the same protection factor. 200-plus fallout shelter for under $2,000 using materials available at any agricultural supplier. We will also cover the honest limitations, the installation mistakes that cause catastrophic failure, the soil conditions that make your site unsuitable, and when paying the commercial markup actually makes sense. By the end, you will understand the single biggest markup scam in the preparedness industry and exactly how to avoid it. Atlas Survival Shelters, Rising S Company, and every corrugated steel bunker manufacturer in the industry sell the same base product, a corrugated galvanized steel arch buried under earth with a door on one end and a ventilation pipe through the top. They call it an engineered shelter system, or a custom manufactured protective structure. They do not call it what it actually is. It is a large diameter corrugated metal culvert pipe with a welded end cap. The specs tell the story. Atlas uses 14 gauge to 12 gauge corrugated galvanized steel with 2.67 inch by 0.5 inch corrugations. That is not proprietary engineering. It is ASHTO M36, the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials standard specification for corrugated steel pipe that has been publicly available since 1960. The identical corrugation profile, the identical gauge thickness, the identical galvanization coating. The commercial bunker is manufactured to the same standard as the culvert pipe under your county road. Corrugated metal pipe has been sold through agricultural suppliers for over a century as drainage infrastructure. Farmers bury it under driveways to handle groundwater runoff. Highway departments install it under roads to manage culvert flow. The pipe is specifically engineered to handle vertical loads from soil pressure and vehicle traffic overhead, the exact loading conditions a buried shelter experiences. The commercial bunker industry did not invent this application. They rebranded it. The language matters. Commercial bunker marketing uses phrases like corrugated steel shelter, arch design, or engineered structure. Notice what is missing, the word culvert. That omission is deliberate. If they called it what it is, you would recognize you can buy the same thing without the sales presentation and the $40,000 markup. The LED lighting strips, the powder-coated bunk beds, the epoxy floor, none of that is the shelter. That is furniture inside a drainage pipe. They are charging you the price of a luxury car to own. Here is the actual cost structure. A 72-inch diameter, 20-foot section of corrugated galvanized steel pipe from a manufacturer like Contec or Amcol costs $1,200 to $1,800 wholesale. A local welder fabricates the end cap and door for $200 to $400. Installation labor and equipment for burial runs $2,000 to $5,000, depending on site conditions. The total hard cost to the bunker company for materials and basic installation is under $8,000. They sell it for $40,000 minimum, often $60,000 to $100,000 once you add delivery, site preparation, and interior finishing. What you are paying for is the discovery cost, the fact that you did not know a culvert pipe could function as a fallout shelter. That information asymmetry is the entire business model. The product itself is commodity steel shaped into an arch and buried under dirt. It works because the physics of load distribution and radiation shielding do not care whether you bought it from a bunker company or an agricultural supplier. The corrugated arch is not a bunker industry invention. It is one of the oldest load-bearing shapes in structural engineering, and corrugated steel pipe has been handling massive vertical loads since the 1890s. A culvert designed to sit under 10 feet of soil, with trucks weighing 80,000 pounds driving overhead, already exceeds the structural requirements for a fallout shelter. The commercial bunker works because it is built from drainage infrastructure that was already engineered for exactly this kind of burial and loading. Arch shapes distribute vertical loads outward and downward along the curve, instead of absorbing force at a single point. That's why stone arches built by Romans 2,000 years ago still stand. The geometry itself is the engineering. Corrugated metal pipe uses the same principle. When you bury it under 3 feet of compacted earth, soil pressure pushes down on the top of the arch, and that force gets redirected laterally into the surrounding backfill on both sides. No flat surfaces, no pressure concentration points. The corrugation pattern does the other half of the work. Flat steel buckles under compression. The wave pattern in corrugated steel creates geometric stiffening. Each ridge and valley acts like a miniature I-beam running the length of the pipe. This is why 14-gauge steel, 0.0747 inches thick, thinner than 2 credit cards, can support the weight of soil and vehicles that would crush a flat plate of the same thickness. The shape creates strength that the material alone does not have. Now, the radiation shielding math, protection factor, measures how much radiation is reduced. A protection factor of 40 means you receive 1/40th the radiation dose of someone standing outside unprotected. That was the federal civil defense minimum standard during the Cold War. 3 feet of compacted earth over your head gives you a protection factor between 200 and 500 depending on soil density. The earth does the gamma shielding. The steel arch just holds the earth in place structurally. That's the entire system. Selecting your pipe starts at the farm store. You need corrugated metal pipe, not smooth wall PVC, because smooth wall cannot handle the soil pressure. Diameter determines headroom, 60 inches minimum for one person, 72 inches for two, 96 inches for a family. Specify at least 14-gauge galvanized steel. Tractor Supply, Rural King, and most agricultural co-ops stock these or can order them. A 20-foot section of 72-inch pipe costs $1,200 to $1,800 depending on your region. Excavation comes next. Dig a trench slightly wider than your pipe diameter. Depth depends on earth cover. You need 3 feet minimum overhead for protection factor 200 plus. Before the pipe goes in, and lay 6 inches of compacted gravel as bedding. This step is non-negotiable. The pipe needs a stable level base or it will deform under load over time. Backfill. Compaction is where DIY shelters succeed or fail catastrophically. You must compact in 6-inch layers on both sides simultaneously. Never dump fill on one side first. The pipe will deform immediately. Rent a plate compactor for $200. Tamp each layer to 90% density before adding the next. Skip this and your shelter collapses. The commercial bunker industry charges $40,000 for a product that costs them $1,500 in raw materials. Let us itemize what you are actually paying for. The blast door they install retails for $3,000 to $8,000 from specialty suppliers. Your local welder fabricates a functionally identical steel plate door with reinforced frame for $300. NBC air filtration systems are upcharged at $2,500. A Kearney hand pump built from plywood and plastic sheeting costs $15 in materials and moves the same air volume. The bunk beds are $500 at IKEA. The epoxy floor coating is $100 at Home Depot. LED light strips are $30 on Amazon. Add it up. The total retail value of everything the industry bolts onto the base pipe is $5,000 to $10,000 maximum. The pipe itself, the actual structural shelter that provides protection, costs $1,200. They sell the complete package for $60,000 to $100,000 installed. You are paying $50,000 for installation labor, marketing, and the fact that you did not know you could buy the pipe yourself. That is the entire markup laid bare. Improper backfill is the catastrophic failure mode. If you dump fill without compacting in 6-inch layers simultaneously on both sides, the pipe deforms under load and the structure fails. This is not a gradual process. It happens within hours of backfilling if done wrong. Once deformed, the pipe loses structural integrity. Re-excavation is the only fix. Commercial installers have equipment and experience to prevent this. DIY builders without compaction discipline will destroy their shelter before it is finished. Galvanized steel corrodes in wet soil. Service life in well-drained conditions is 50 to 75 years. In saturated soil or high water table locations, it is 15 to 25 years, potentially less in acidic soils. Bituminous coating and perimeter drainage extend lifespan, but this is not a multi-generational asset. It is a 20 to 50-year solution, depending on site conditions. High water tables make sites unsuitable without extensive dewatering. Expansive clay soils exert lateral pressure that deforms pipes. Bedrock close to the surface makes excavation prohibitively expensive. Not every property works for this build. Site assessment matters. Permits are required in most jurisdictions for underground structures. Some counties will approve this as agricultural storage or storm shelter. Others prohibit habitable underground spaces outright. Unpermitted construction creates liability for property sales and insurance coverage. Check local codes before breaking ground. Atlas Survival Shelters built a multi-million-dollar business selling corrugated steel arches for $50,000. Tractor Supply has sold the same arch for $1,200 for decades. The physics does not care which one you bought. 3 feet of earth over corrugated steel delivers protection factor 200 plus either way. The materials are at your farm store. The industry just hoped you would not notice.